One of the simplest ways to make freezer meals, and we tell people to do this all the time, is if you're going to make dinner, make 2 of them, eat one, freeze the other.
In this video, we're going to be showing you some casseroles that double beautifully and are really simple to just do exactly that with. But there are so many other things, like if you're doing a spaghetti sauce, double it, freeze one, have one over your pasta that night. Chili, soups, there's so many different things that lend themselves really well to just doubling and freezing. The benefits, of course, are you save a lot of time. You've got something in your freezer that you don't have to think about for a couple weeks down the road when you're having a super busy day and you're like, ooh, I forgot to make dinner. Right. But also, you save so darn much money.
You really do. You really do.
Because you're buying a larger pack of ground beef or chicken or whatever your protein is, or even vegetables are less when you buy them in the larger packs. And then you're using all of it because you're doubling or quadrupling, but I don't want to overwhelm you, so forget I said that.
But if you're feeling up to it, you can totally move up to that.
It hardly takes any extra time when you have all the ingredients out, all the supplies out, to just make twice as much. And then the next time when you go to actually have it in a couple weeks, next week, whatever, the work is already done. The first recipe that we're gonna do is Tex-Mex lasagna. It is a classic in our house. I think for like a decade, it was my husband's favorite meal. It's still in his top 5.
Oh, no way.
And I love it too. It's great for when we have company over. I have always doubled. Like I always make one for now and make one for in the freezer. I have since the beginning of time. I always make ours with a Mexican veggie beef, which is a ground beef substitute. I do brown it first because I like the texture better, but we're gonna explain it to you made with ground beef, and then you can choose whether you wanna do it with a Mexican veggie beef or with regular ground beef. You could do one of each since you're making 2.
You could.
But that would complicate things.
And that's an extra pan that you have to dirty.
It is, because you have to fry it. And
there
then
goes that
actually,
idea.
it's an extra, because you're mixing the things in. Scrap that. Choose one or the other. All right, this is our Tex-Mex lasagna.
In a large bowl, you're going to combine your browned ground beef or Mexi beef. You're going to add in your onions, green chilies, some cheddar cheese soup, some chunky salsa, some cheddar cheese, and mozzarella cheese that have been shredded. We're going to use a box of the ready-made lasagna noodles, so you don't have to boil them ahead of time. This will work when you put it together and bake it, and it absorbs the moisture from it and it makes them into perfectly cooked lasagna noodles. We're going to start with a thin layer of the ground beef sauce on the bottom. Then we're going to put the lasagna noodles, lay a third of the sauce, add more noodles, add another third of the sauce, more noodles, and then finish with the remaining sauce. And I mentioned the moisture. You're going to drizzle 2/3 of a cup of water over top of everything, and then you have some cheese left over in your bowl and you're going to sprinkle it on top. You're going to, for the one that goes into the freezer, add some plastic wrap and some foil on it and get that into your freezer. The other one, we're going to just put the tin foil on and get it into our oven. We're going to cook this at 350 for about 50 minutes.
And it's delicious. Whenever I serve it, I usually make this avocado salad that I throw together. It's like avocado, Roma tomatoes, green onions, and then this dressing of like some hot sauce, olive oil, lemon juice. It's a bit of an odd salad, but anyway.
No, well, that's your dressing, right?
That's
nice.
My thing that goes in my brain, because I made this originally with that salad. It's just, now that goes with
Can't get that one in a bag.
And you can't freeze that one either.
No, please don't.
Super easy, 5 ingredient recipe. It is family friendly, kid friendly, just very simple, but yet good.
It is really good. It is chicken noodle soup casserole. The first time we made this, it was in a mega session where we make like over 100 recipes, but it is really simple. And I looked at this and I thought, what is this going to turn out to be? And the first time I had it, I'm like, it really does taste like chicken noodle soup. It really, really does. And it has been a family favorite at our house ever since that day.
It's like the comfort meal thing of a chicken noodle soup, plus the comfort meal thing of like a pasta casserole.
Yep.
Together. So it's like comfort meal squared.
It is comfort meal squared in a casserole. First, we're going to cook our noodles. Now, when you are cooking pasta that you are then going to be freezing, it is important that you cook it for 1 or 2 minutes less than what the little al dente time is that it says on your packaging. Because when you go to cook this again, it might go mushy if you have fully cooked it the first time. So undercook it a bit. That is our tip for making pasta in freezer meals. So we're going to undercook our pasta, drain it, and get it into the bowl. We're going to add our cooked cubed chicken. And again, if you are doubling this for one for your freezer, you're going to just cube your chicken all at once. It makes so much sense to just put it into 2 different bowls. We're going to mix the chicken and the noodles. We're going to add in some frozen peas, some kernel corn, and a can of cream of mushroom soup, and that is it. So if you're going to eat one and freeze one, you can do these in a giant bowl if you have a big enough one. You're going to put half of it into a casserole dish that can go right into your oven right now, and then the other half will go into your freezer bag. Now you want to remove that excess air and seal it up before you freeze it, because we haven't said it in a while. Air is the enemy when it comes to freezer cooking, and that is going to be what is going to cause your freezer burn or frost in there. So we want it all out, and get that in your freezer. So then once you've enjoyed this casserole that you're having for supper tonight, you know, maybe a few weeks down the road or a month away, you're thinking, I'm having such a crazy day. I am too busy. I wish I just had something in the freezer. And you think, aha, I have that freezer meal that I made a month ago. Thank you, month ago me.
Yes, it is so true.
It is so true. I thank month ago me all the time. This one is a simple one to cook up. It really is just 325 in your oven for 20 or 30 minutes. And that's it.
So fast, both for the day you go to make it, like for the one that you're putting straight into your oven, and of course on the day that you're just gonna reheat the one that came from your freezer. So fast. I have to laugh at your month ago me comment, because I think I like month ago me better than I like procrastinating today me. Right? Like,
sure. Month ago me had lots of gumption, and today me could, you know, take a nap. It's, you know.
I'm just getting over a cold, so today me is functioning a little bit slower, a little less energy than month ago me, but I know I'll get back there.
Of course.
And
aren't you glad we have freezer meals?
So glad, because tonight dinner's already done. I have to tell you, I have barbecue chicken sloppy joes that are thawing right now. My kids just go nuts for that recipe. It's such a simple recipe, but I've got buns that I picked up yesterday so that I can serve those tonight. I don't have to think about what I'm gonna do for dinner tonight. I don't have to worry about anything. It's just done, and I'm gonna sit on the couch later.
I am having seafood curry tonight because I had one left. When we used to make this initially, we would do the same thing with the pasta. We would cook it mostly and then add it in with the other ingredients. But at one point we just kind of stopped. It doesn't take a lot to cook the pasta, and it was penne, and sometimes it was you could do it or not.
Also, the bags took up a lot more space
in our freezer.
They were very fat,
yes.
And when you're cooking, like if you're making like today when we're just doubling things and getting them in your freezer, that's fine. You don't need to worry about it. But when you're making 156 meals at a time,
you run out of freezer space.
You run out of freezer space. So
this is true.
You know, we did stop doing it. So you are going to have to cook up your pasta today.
I know. It's a terrible shame. However, it is one of my all-time favorite freezer meals, and it is the seafood curry, and there will be a link for that. We could put a link for that down below, even if it isn't in this, couldn't we?
I don't see why not.
Go ahead.
You can actually find a lot of our recipes at freezermeals101.com.
That's where you'll find it.
Or at freezermeals101club.com. You'll find even more recipes, and you'll find a way to make your custom meal plans, your shopping list, your prep list, your printable labels, so that this is completely doable, takes out all of the hard work for you.
All of the guesswork.
And so you can find the seafood curry, you can find the chicken noodle soup casserole.
Yes, you can.
You can find actually a really easy and good chicken noodle soup.
It is a really good and easy chicken noodle soup. And it tastes just like the casserole, but it's soupy. I love it.
It does. And another one that you can find on both of those sites is our baked tortellini Alfredo.
This is an OG. We've been making this one forever.
But yet it never gets old because you can change it up every time you make it if you want. Or if you find a way that you love it, you can make it that way all the time. So for this, and again, you're gonna be making two. You're gonna have one for tonight and one for future you. You could make them exactly the same, or you could make one a little bit different so that you get to try sort of two versions of this. And I'll explain what I mean in a second. You're going to use some cheese tortellini. You're gonna add in some Alfredo sauce, and then you're gonna add in like half a cup or 1 cup or even a little more. This recipe is pretty forgiving. You can kind of do what you want and get away with it here, of some of the mix-in options of your choice. And that's what I meant about changing things up. So you could add in some cooked cube chicken that you had left over from when you cooked it yesterday to put in your chicken noodle soup casserole.
That's right.
Or you could add in some of the frozen peas that you have left from your chicken noodle soup casserole. You could add in some cooked crumbled bacon if you happen to have some. You could add in sun-dried tomatoes, or we haven't done it with corn, but I suppose you could.
I would totally do it with corn. Mushrooms. Mushrooms and peas together, really, really great.
We have done that one often. It's a really nice combination. You could add in some cooked crumbled sausage into this. There are so many options for your mix-ins. So you're gonna add in your mix-ins. We're just gonna add some frozen peas here. Then you're gonna add in some shredded mozzarella cheese, and you're just gonna squish that all together in your bag. Now, if you're making one for tonight, then you're gonna mix this together in a bowl and dump it into a casserole dish. For your one in the bag, you're going to get your air out and seal it, and then you're going to put some Parmesan cheese in another bag, just a small, medium-sized bag there, and get the air out of that, seal it, and you're gonna staple those bags together above the seam so that you have everything you need all together for future you. So for the one you're serving tonight, you're gonna just top your casserole dish contents with that Parmesan cheese. You're gonna bake it at 375 for 30 to 40 minutes and enjoy it. If you wanna fancy it up, you can grab a bagged salad on your way home from work or your way home from school or your way, whatever errands you've got going on, you can just pick that up, or some raw veggies or whatever. If you are too busy, you can consider this its own meal.
Just add some extra peas.
Yeah, that is right. And then for the one that you've got in the freezer, on the day you go to make that one, you thaw it and transfer the large bag contents into a casserole dish, top it with that Parmesan cheese, get that one in your oven, again 375 for 30 to 40 minutes, and that's it. This one is so versatile because of the mix-ins, and it's just kind of an easy, don't have to think much about it. Took you 7 minutes to put together. Really
it does. Yes, because the tortellini is fresh pasta, right? So you're not even, unlike the chicken noodle soup casserole, you have to boil your pasta. If you use the fresh pasta for the tortellini, it really just goes in the bag. There is nothing to think about here. So
we've shared a really easy one. We're gonna move on to, it's not complicated, but it does require that you actually cook the pasta.
Yes.
And it requires some assembly, and
that's okay.
we're gonna encourage you along because you're gonna have to roll things. And don't let that scare you, right?
We'll show you how in the video, it's okay.
We're even gonna give you some tips for making it easier, like laying it down on some paper towel or a tea towel so that you absorb the moisture from that pasta. We're gonna walk you along, but it's nice to like have a bit of a fancier dish.
It is very pretty.
And to feel like, hey, I can't believe I made that. That's like something you'd get in a restaurant. Like it's just, it feels good.
And it's one of those ones where because it's a little bit more work, you want to do 2 of them because then you don't have to really do the work twice. You're just doing the work one time and then it's in the freezer for next time. So a month from now, you is going to be so thankful for today, you.
And just like what Christy was saying with, you know, doing all the work, it's also, this is the part that's really magic, the dishes. Because
you're only doing them
you're
once.
Draining your noodles into one strainer. It's not like you're using one strainer and having to wash it today, and then 2 weeks from now you're having to wash a strainer again. I know I make this sound like it's such a hardship, but truly, I have done enough dishes in my day.
Those things add up. Those things add up.
They do. And you're not gonna dirty 2 bowls, you're gonna dirty 1 bowl. So,
yes.
you know, this is the way to go, I'm telling you. You're gonna make 2 fancy schmancy lasagna roll-ups.
For this recipe, we're going to cook up our lasagna noodles, and again, we're going to make sure that we cook it just a little bit under what it says in the box to do, and we're going to put some cold water on those and just set them aside. Now have them stop cooking after you've drained them. Then we're going to mix together in a bowl some chopped spinach, the frozen chopped spinach that you drain it and then you can put that in your lasagna. We're going to mix in some ricotta cheese, some mozzarella cheese that's been shredded, some minced onion, minced garlic, salt, pepper, nutmeg, and your Parmesan cheese. We're going to mix that all together nicely. In another bowl, we are going to mix together some crushed tomatoes and fire roasted tomatoes with a little bit of basil. Now we're going to take our tray. Now in this case, lots of times we like to make a freezer meal in a bag because the biggest reason is because it takes up less space in your freezer. And I only have so many casserole dishes, so sometimes we use foil, sometimes we use our glass ones, but then they're in there for a while. So we like to use the foil ones. Here we're gonna have 2 foil trays. We're gonna get those ready and put about a ½ cup of that tomato sauce into the bottom of each of your foil trays. And then we're going to take out the lasagna, and like Sharla said, it is handy to have it on a paper towel or something that's going to absorb that extra water. Otherwise, our filling might be slippery. And so we're going to put some of that spinach ricotta filling mixture down the center of the lasagna noodle and then roll it up and place it on the tray seam side down. Once we are done rolling all of our lasagna noodles, and you have 2 trays worth, you're going to cover them with the remaining sauce, and we're going to sprinkle the rest of the mozzarella cheese that we have. Cover the one with an aluminum foil. You could put plastic wrap on it as well. Make a note for yourself to remove the plastic wrap before you go and cook it. And then get that one into the freezer and get the other one into the oven. To cook this, you're going to bake it covered in a 350 oven for about 40 minutes, and then you're going to uncover it and bake it for an additional 10 minutes.
This is one that is fancy enough that you could serve it to company.
Oh yeah.
And they don't need to know that your accompanying salad came from a bag.
They don't need to know. They don't need to know.
Some of you who have watched our channel for a while may remember that I shared a video a long time ago, a little clip of one of our cats playing piano. And in that case, she was sitting on a piano bench and actually playing it with her little paws, and was quite a little concert pianist, I must say. And she stopped playing for quite a few years, and you know,
She went on hiatus or sabbatical or something.
right? But what happened is, because our grandson is living with us and he gets into all the things because he's a toddler, we had to move the cat food up.
Right.
And so where we moved it, the easiest way for them to access it is by walking across the top of the piano and getting at the cat food. So all good, right? But we started, like, in the night and stuff, hearing them walking across the piano. So they're not playing piano, they're just walking across the piano to get to the food. One of them walks across the top, but the cat, Willow, who used to play piano, started, like, walked across the actual piano, and then she remembered.
Oh, yes.
Like her years of
her previous
playing, right?
experience.
And so she has started during the day playing piano, not to get at the food, but like to play piano. And sometimes she kind of meows along with so she's singing along with her playing.
Does she dance too? Is she a triple threat?
She does not
Does she
also
act?
dance, and she does not act, but she does play piano. Now, every time I go in the room to capture this on video so I can prove it to you, she stops playing. And she sees me and she wants to be pet, and you know, that's normal cat behavior. Normal my cat behavior. There's no such thing as normal cat behavior. Every cat has their own personality. But in this case, she's a very social cat. She likes to be pet. I've been trying to, like, be sneaky about it. And anyway, I was finally able to get sort of video. Now, you've seen it.
I've seen it.
It's real. But it's not as good as when there's no one in the room. She knew I was there. She had a little bit of stage fright. It wasn't as impressive. So I'm gonna put that video here now.
Yes.
And let you listen and critique my cat's piano skills. Good job, Willow. Now, this last casserole is one from my childhood, and I use the word recipe loosely because we were talking about this not that long ago. I'm not sure what video it was in, but I phoned my mom to get a recipe for her shepherd's pie. Now, before you all jump on me in the comments and tell me it's not shepherd's pie because it's not lamb, or
lamb is shepherd's pie and beef is cottage pie.
Like, yes, I understand that.
Here in Canada, kind of colloquially, if it's this type of casserole, it's a shepherd's pie. We don't differentiate because honestly, lamb isn't a huge deal here.
No, and we all grew up with shepherd's pie being
ground beef.
So I get it. Like I do, you know, I love food.
You don't need to school us. We know. We're just going with what.
I research food and I watch food shows and I, read the books, and so I get it. But I'm going to use the word shepherd's pie because, again, like Christy said, here in Canada, that is kind of just common language for a ground beef type of layered mixture with vegetables and whatever. I also know that even amongst shepherd's pies, again, use the term sort of loosely, there's a lot of variety and things that a lot of them have peas and carrots. This one does not. A lot of them have different seasonings in the meat mixture. This one does not. This is my mom's shepherd's pie. So this is Sharla's mom's shepherd's pie.
And I think the thing about shepherd's pie, it's one of those meals that you put your leftovers in. Like I always thought that way about chicken fried rice. that there wasn't, you have a very specific recipe for chicken fried rice.
I do.
But in my world, that was what you just did with your leftovers. So you just made it into, you had leftover peas, you had leftover carrots, you had some chicken, and you cooked some rice and you made your chicken fried rice. I feel like it's a little bit the same with a shepherd's pie. You have your leftovers and it goes nicely with the beef, and you have some mashed potatoes from last night. Bam, you have yourself a shepherd's pie.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Christy and I were talking probably about a month ago, and we were saying, you know, one of the things we're actually missing in our Freezer Meals 101 club and website, and, you know, is a really good shepherd's pie. And I was like, you know, we should start experimenting with that. But before we do, like the one I grew up on and the one that my kids adore and all that is my mom's shepherd's pie. And so let's just start with making that, and then we can try out some different varieties and, you know, whatever you're used to and all of that. So I phoned my mom because I was like, just gonna get her recipe and we will quickly make it. I kind of knew about what I needed, so I had bought some potatoes. I had, you know, I had gotten a veggie beef because I was gonna make mine with a veggie beef, and you know, I was prepared. But in that phone call, my mom was not clear.
It was a little loosey-goosey.
She does not have a recipe for her shepherd's pie. She was like, well, sometimes I would make a gravy, and sometimes I would make it from scratch, and sometimes I would use a packet, and sometimes I wouldn't make a gravy, and sometimes I would use tomato paste, and sometimes I would use seasonings, and sometimes I wouldn't, and sometimes I would. And I was like, this is not as helpful as you might think. So I love my mom, and my mom is watching this video
because she watches all our videos. Bless her heart.
She is our biggest fan, and we so appreciate. And my mom was the only person watching my videos when I started this channel.
Yes, yes, she was.
She was she is the OG. Right?
The original viewer, the OV.
OV. That is my mom. And so we know that my mom is watching this, and we love my mom.
We do. We love you.
But we don't love her recipe for shepherd's pie. We don't love her details on the recipe for shepherd's pie. My mom, really talented artist. Oh my goodness. I'm going to put an overlay of a painting that she just did for my brother-in-law and sister-in-law of a place in the mountains that they love. They sent her a photo and she did this painting, and it is so beautiful. My mom is extremely talented with recipe creation and writing down the details of her recipes.
Wasn't her forte.
No. So I love you, Mom. I love your art. I love your heart. I do not love your detailed recipe for shepherd's pie. But I like the taste. So we recreated this loosey-goosey recipe. And what we did is we mixed together some veggie beef or ground beef with some tomato paste, some minced onion. I think we might have thrown some garlic in there. And we created a little, you know, base, ground beefy base. Put that in our casserole dish, or you could put it in a foil tray. So again, you're gonna double this. So you're gonna put half of that mixture in one and half in the other. And then a layer of cream corn mixed with kernel corn. So in a bowl, you're gonna mix together a couple cans of cream corn with a can or two of kernel corn. And then you're gonna divide that out among your two shepherd's pies. You're going to have made some mashed potatoes. And again, you're gonna make quite a lot because you're topping two shepherd's pies with those. And you just put a layer of mashed potatoes on the top of each of those. You cover them both with foil. You toss one into your oven. You toss the other into your freezer. And if you're my house, your kids come home that night.
And you take the other one back out of the freezer.
Yes, because they hadn't had this recipe in years, and it disappeared like that.
Yeah.
And it's a large recipe. Like this has got to feed 8 people. But it was gone. And yes, I do have a large family, so that's fair. But yes, they devoured that thing. And then it was like for 2 days after, like, do we have any leftovers of the shepherd? No, just like the last 2 times you asked me.
Right. There has been no more magically appear. So this might be one that you maybe want to quadruple.
It might.
It might.
So that is our last casserole of the day that you can double and freeze. If you have followed along with us, then you are now going to make Tex-Mex lasagna with bold flavors, lasagna roll-ups that is fancy but has more subtle flavors, chicken noodle soup casserole that's like homey and family friendly, baked tortellini Alfredo that's just
the best,
and shepherd's pie.
It's true. It's shepherd's pie. And that's really great though, because it doesn't matter, as long as it tastes good, if you are making that for your family, your kids will grow up eating that, and they will be the ones that will phone you and say, Mom, what was that recipe? And at least you can say, oh, I have it, it's on the website, or oh, I have it, it's here.
Right.
Whereas, you know, your mom never wrote it down, and that's okay.
Totally okay, because that's not what she was doing at that time. She was not running a recipe blog.
No.
But one of the things in sharing that, my point was also to show you that whatever your version of shepherd's pie is, it's actually super freezer friendly.
Oh yeah.
You just, even if your version has the peas and carrots, or if your version has, some people do bacon in theirs, like whatever your version is, it freezes, it reheats beautifully. So this is something that the next time you go to make your family like classic shepherd's pie or cottage pie, just double it. And you'll be so glad you did.
Yes, and so will your kids when they're looking for leftovers.
You have a shepherd's pie.
I make a different shepherd's pie. I make Gordon Ramsay's fancy shepherd's pie. It's from his video. And actually, I did make it in a video way back in the day. You were gone, I think, to the mountains, and we needed videos, and I was by myself, and so she's like, make all the ground beef recipes that I don't want to make. And so I made lasagna. No, I made meatloaf. Oh, I did make lasagna.
Yes, you did.
I made Cease's lasagna. My friend's mom taught me how to make lasagna because my mom didn't make it because my dad didn't like it. It was a thing. And I made meatballs, 2 different kinds of meatballs. I made barbecue meatloaf, and I made a shepherd's pie, but I made Gordon Ramsay's shepherd's pie, and it's got port in it and shredded carrots, and he mixed in into the mashed potatoes, he mixed in egg yolks and Parmesan cheese, so that when it was, and it was very important, the people in the UK will say this, it was very important that he flicked it with a fork to make it flip up a little bit, and then it browns nicely, especially with the egg and the Parmesan cheese. So I made that one for it, and the only real comment was, that's very fancy shepherd's pie. That isn't how regular people make shepherd's pie. And so it really doesn't matter what we make. There is going to be somebody that's going to tell us it's wrong, and that's okay, because there's many kinds of ways to make shepherd's pie. But it was really good, and that is what I make and it's got, it's good.
So we're gonna pop that video right there.
Don't go look at that.
It's an old video, but it's a classic.
And it's in my kitchen, which is really funny.
And so you'll get to see
our bad overheads. Our bad overheads.
Oh, you'll get a tour of her house, which actually your kitchen is similar to how, not in layout, but the cupboards and stuff are very similar to how our cupboards were.
Yes, I still have the old oak cupboards. I haven't painted mine all fancy like you.
Yes. So, yeah.
So, go see that video.
Thank you for watching, and we really hope that you give this a try. We want to hear how it goes, because one of the highlights of our week every week is hearing from you, seeing, like in our Facebook group or in emails, seeing photos of your freezer stacks, hearing how this is impacting your lives. Honestly, that is our highlight. We look forward to that so much.
We do love it. So thanks for joining us today.
And happy cooking.